Hi guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. And for those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your monthly subscriptions. If anybody's interested in doing that for the channel, you can certainly go over to patreon.com, choose a subscription level, and you can get the forecast a day early over on Patreon. This is a forecast for the greater collective, for the highest good. Therefore, it will be dated and utilized for the dates that it was being created for, but it's also, because it's for the highest good of the greater collective, whenever you see it is when you're supposed to see it. That's sort of the intention. I trust that spirit and you know, the universe has a way of getting us the information when we need it. So if you're seeing this on a date that doesn't fit, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to turn it off, right? There might be some information in this video for you that may validate or give you insight. So please feel free to continue to watch even if it's not the date that's listed. We're starting a new week, so we're going, what is it, through the 3rd. So this is for, technically the Sunday readings always are, it plays two purposes. It plays for both Sunday the 27th of September, but also it's going to be the underpinning energy of the week, right? So from the 27th through the 3rd of October, okay? So we're looking at those dates in these cards. Each card that gets pulled, we pull a few extra cards to represent the week. Each card that gets pulled represents 1 or 2 days of that week. For some of you, you might experience, you know, only one of these cards throughout the entirety of the week. Some of you might experience all 3 of these cards and then some. You need to have a little bit of flexibility in the reading. Take what you need and sort of leave the rest. Apply what you hear here to wherever you feel it best fits in your life. Any decisions you make during, after, in your life regarding, you know, to situations or experiences in your life, those decisions will be yours responsibility. Always trust your own intuition over anything I say. Utilize these readings to help enhance and, you know, give you validation. So let's see what's going on. Oh, I should say this too. If this doesn't resonate with you, that's completely fine. Don't worry. It doesn't mean anything's wrong or like you're not heading towards your greatest good. You could be working on something else at this time that could be just as good, if not better. And it's just you're not sort of, like, let me say, like you could be marching to a different drummer, so to speak, right? So that doesn't mean anything's wrong off the bat. So don't take it that way, okay? So let's get into this. And then, you know, we're taking this as both the beginning of the week and also playing its way out through the week. So it's got a macro and micro sort of, or a micro and macro sort of reading to it, if that makes any sense. It is so gray here this morning. I mean, fall is here. It almost feels like winter already. It's weird. It's like the weather has completely changed. Okay, so, whoa, beautiful. So this is our beginning of the week. This is the Ace of Cups. Now, this to me makes a lot of sense because we were seeing all of that Cups energy in this the week prior, leading up, right? We were seeing the 4 of Cups. We saw the 5 of Cups back to back, actually. We even had the 8 of Cups in the midweek of last week. We were kind of going back and forth with that Cups energy. To me, though, this Ace of Cups is that abundance, a new relationship to how we feel emotionally, a new opportunity to maybe feel differently, see things through a different perspective. Not that we've been, not to deny how and what work we've been doing, right? But to kind of maybe rearrange our relationship with ourselves emotionally. When I look at this card, to me, this cup is being displayed proudly, right? There's a singularity to the Ace of Cups. There's a sort of inspired, there's always inspiration in the aces to me. And so when I look at this cup here, it's sort of like we're owning who we are emotionally. We're embracing it to such a degree that it's overflowing, right? We don't deny who we are, how we feel, right? Even if it's maybe bad. And I think that some of this, and I am kind of feeling this way because we had that 4 and 5 of Cups back to back at the end of last week. To me, this just feels like, you know what, some of us might be actually coming to terms with where we sit emotionally in situations, and no longer maybe hiding from that, no longer feeling any sort of guilt or shame or worry about those things, just owning who we are. And to me, this is a gift. Aces are also always a gift. That's why they're sort of being presented by this hand. I feel like they're being presented to us maybe in some new fashion, some new relation, but regardless of that, they're powerful cards. They bring about a breath of fresh air in a way. Can you guys go wrestle somewhere else, please? They bring about a breath of fresh air, and they bring about sort of a renewal in a way too, especially with the Ace of Cups. To me, it always feels like, I don't want to get too religious or you know, but it feels sort of like a baptism or a replenishment, right? We become new again emotionally, or fulfilled at a different level. Does that make sense? So to me, this is a very empowered card. So look to that idea of being empowered. No need for sort of like any kind of emotional hang-ups around who we are. To me, I just get the sense when I'm looking at this card that it's all about sort of a full-on acceptance and appreciation for the gamut of what we feel and what we've gone through emotionally. I also love that we have this mountainside or the mountain scene in the background, meaning like maybe some hard times or struggles, things like that are in the past, and we're able to truly set them there and move on with this newfound sort of appreciation of ourselves. And the lotus also in the water down below represents sort of spiritual growth too. So there is growth happening through the work with our emotional selves, right? So the next card, Page of Pentacles. So this is your midweek. Those cats are beating each other up. Sorry, guys. So Pentacles is a slow-moving energy. Nothing wrong with that. It's a little bit more methodical, a little bit more grounded. It's always very, it can be very productive and very planned out. Page of Pentacles can be also even slower than slow. I would say the slowest card is probably the Knight of Pentacles. Page probably following a close second in my opinion as far as energy is concerned. But I don't feel like it's a bad thing. I feel like what the Page does in this case scenario is I feel like the newness of this Ace brings about this emotional appreciation in the early part of the week. The midweek, we could get an opportunity here to start to build upon that and actually sort of take some of this newfound inspiration or this newfound sort of connection to self and channel it into actual action and the production of changes or taking steps towards something new, right? Pages also represent newness in the sense of their youth, right? They always sort of look to me or come off to me as if they're open, enthusiastic, willing to learn. They don't necessarily have all of the information or totally know how to go about doing what they're doing, but they're learning as they go kind of thing, right? They're not as educated as any of the other court cards. They tend to represent youth. So when I'm looking at this, I love that he's facing towards what I consider this future side of the room, right? As I read cards, that he's always looking toward, in this position, he's looking towards the future. And I feel like he's willing to build upon emotional, like whatever this emotional well-being or this gift that we receive in the early part of the week, this appreciation of self, this connection to our higher self through our emotions, through this Ace of Cups, we're able to channel that into this Page of Pentacles energy. We may not know exactly how to go about getting there, but we will get there. There is this sort of, these wheat stalks here that make me feel like, and there's also a city over here, which means that there's opportunity. But this wheat stalk to me speaks to this idea of abundance coming. The flowers also too is growth. So as we keep our eye on the future or on our future plans, be mindful that we may not know exactly how to get there, but that we do have the sort of the optimism, the enthusiasm, the openness, the ability to sort of learn, adapt, and change. And for some of my older viewers, myself included, let's be honest, is you know, don't paint yourself into a corner. Don't discredit yourself. Don't think that you can't necessarily be daring or learn new things, right? The Page of Pentacles does that, right? He may learn slowly, right? He might be a little bit reluctant to move, but I feel like his decisions will be measured. They will be well planned out, and we might find ourselves moving or Sorry, the dog is snoring really loud this morning. We might find ourselves moving or taking steps in a rather slow manner, but we're doing it with caution isn't really the right word, but like with care, right? Like I sort of feel like we really want to make this happen, and it's important to us, is sort of the vibe that I'm getting from this, especially with that Ace of Cups behind him. It speaks to this idea of emotionally being connected and feeling the importance of that. And then the Page of Pentacles is sort of the physical action we're taking as we move forward. So the third card, which is towards the week's end. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I'll take it. So this is the Emperor. Emperor is Aries energy, right? Again, we've got that fire going on. The Emperor, to me, he's always benevolent. He's always loving. He has high expectations, right? He has high goals. He expects a certain amount of let me see, what's the word? I don't want to say rules because I don't want to pen us in, but I feel like, and that might be this Page of Pentacles energy too, is taking things step by step, doing them methodically, being smart about it, being as, even if we don't necessarily have all the information on how to get there, sort of opening ourselves up to, okay, step by step, how do I do this? How do I make the most of this? And as we like kind of put that work in, I feel like the Emperor comes in because the universe, our higher selves, our spirit guides, whatever aspect of this that is around us or working with us, it could be all three for some of us, starts to acknowledge the work that we're doing, both emotionally through that Ace of Cups and physically through that Page of Pentacles. We kind of shift into this position of the Emperor, where we realize the importance of what it is that we're doing. We're not cutting corners. We're placing high expectations upon ourselves. With the Emperor is sort of the divine masculine, or that can be also like sort of the loving father energy. Us taking care of ourselves, being responsible, and doing it in a way that is self-assured, calm, collected. The Emperor is the fourth card of the major arcana, which to me is always about stability. We have that Aries energy, which is about sort of action, fire, and the spirit, right? So I like that we will be, by week's end feeling productive. I think that we also, for those of you that are a little bit maybe in the dark in the midweek about maybe how do I go about doing this? That's that sort of Page energy. You guys will be a little bit more self-assured by week's end. With this Emperor energy, you'll be able to be more practical would be a good word, but also like informed, right? The Emperor kind of knows what's going on, right? And we don't ever, I kind of always get with the Emperor that we don't ever want to like mislead ourselves or cut corners or cheat ourselves in some way, shape, or form. Like the Emperor won't allow for it. He has very high standards, right? He has expectations that need to be met. But I feel like with that Ace of Cups, we've done sort of the work. We're able to deliver on the high standards that the Emperor requires. So honoring ourselves in that way is going to be important by week's end. Like don't, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to you guys. I don't know where that would fit in your life, but sometimes I feel like I'm doing these and I'm just talking to myself. All right, the Moonology card. We have the mutable moon. Nothing is yet set in stone. Okay? So mutable always signifies in astrology that there's an ability to change. Your mutable signs are Pisces and Sagittarius. What are the other mutables for? I can't remember. Is it Virgo and anyways, mutable, sorry guys, mutable is this idea to ebb and flow, this ability to sort of move within the situation and make it happen. I love that we have this coupled with that Ace of Cups, that sort of watery vibe. There is this sort of like a little bit of a storm happening or high waves in the water of this card that makes me feel like, if things sort of swell up or shift and change throughout this week, don't worry. We have this sort of balance going on. Nothing is yet set in stone in the sense that we can kind of move along through this week, and that's also, the mutableness is also the sort of page energy, right? That idea of not necessarily always having the total clear picture or knowing, but being optimistic enough that we can live in the moment or be in the present moment enough that we can sort of adjust our decisions or our ways about channeling our energy, taking steps towards what it is that we want, and being open to that, right? Does that make sense? So we have this mutability or this ability to pivot throughout this week. It's going to get, I will say this, the Emperor is a little bit more staid, a little bit more structured. So by the week's end, this mutable moon might not be as mutable or as movable, but any sort of storms, struggles, whatever, second guessing, that kind of a thing that we move through in the early and the mid part of the week, we can move through it, is what I feel like this card is saying. Don't worry, nothing is going to, you know, sort of kill us, nothing is set in stone, and just kind of allow your own internal guidance to kind of bring you through this, even if it's slightly hard for some of you. Like some of you may not be able to hear it fully clearly. That's sort of this slivered moon here. And this card being in the night, to me, feels like, you know, we might be moving in the dark a little bit. That's also the idea of the page being in the dark or not fully being clear on exactly how to go about getting what he wants. By week's end, though, the Emperor energy kicks in and we definitely know, right? We know what the parameters are, the rules are, and how it is, what the expectations are of us that we need to live up to and deliver so that we can get, hopefully, what it is that we want. I have a feeling that with these cards, the way that they're placed, next week could be a very interesting reading for those of us that watch regularly. All right, so let's see what's going on with the grounding stone. So this grounding stone is underpinning the entirety of the week, so remember that. So we have nature here. This is an interesting stone because when you think of nature, you think of, like, you know, sort of obviously the natural world, plants, you know, minerals, animals, and that sort of thing. And I think that that is sort of true to a certain degree, like where do we connect into the world around us? But I also think that this nature is about our own personal nature, right? Our own personal growth, our own personal sort of ability within ourselves to kind of flourish, right? And where does that fit for us? And remember, last week's, I don't know why this is calling out or jumping into my mind, but last week's was wisdom on Sunday. And I think that there's something that we're learning about ourselves if we're paying attention to these cards every day, and we're really kind of, hopefully, trying to stay in the present moment as best we can and pay attention to the shifts and changes that are happening. I feel like this is bringing us more into this state of, you know, being malleable or mutable, like this mutable moon card, being able to sort of change, do the work, face ourselves, and also understand our own true real nature, right? Where do we connect into our world? How do we connect into our world? What are our perceptions of ourselves within our own world? Do we believe that we deserve the things that we desire? Do we believe that we deserve the things that we, you know, aren't serving us, that we're receiving, right? That's part of our nature, right? In the way that I'm sort of feeling this stone to be, is how do we relate to our world? I feel like that will shift for us throughout this week. And when we get to the Emperor, there is this kind of authority or expectation, and deservedly so, that starts to take form, right? And I think that that's to be acknowledged and appreciated and lived up to by all of us. I hope that makes sense. So when I'm talking about this nature stone, because it's kind of a strange stone, but to me it feels like, what is our true nature? How do we truly feel? How do we truly connect to this or make these things happen that we want? And how do we kind of how do we connect into the world outside around us? Both the natural world, like plants, animals, and that sort of thing, but also like other human beings, right? And the beautiful thing about this is that anything that we find throughout this week about our true nature, which would also kind of key into that sort of internal wisdom that we saw last week, none of it is set in stone. right? It can always be changed. It can always be sort of altered, adjusted, and made to better suit us. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. That is your forecast for this week. Please tune in this week and let me know what you think. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. And please like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.